Hi, welcome to this week's Thought for the Day. Have you ever let somebody down really badly? Perhaps you've said something deeply hurtful or failed to support them in their time of need. I'm ashamed to say that I have on more than one occasion. The problem is that although we may think we have perfectly good reasons for our behaviour, to the person affected, it doesn't really matter why we did what we did. The hurt is caused irrespective of what our motives might have been, and once it's done, it's done. There's no going back. Even if the hurt was unintentional, letting somebody down when they need us most is really upsetting and can easily cause an irreparable breakdown in a relationship. Although an honest apology can open a pathway towards reconciliation, ultimately, it's only acceptance and forgiveness by the injured party that can truly heal the rift. In this week's Gospel reading from John chapter 21, we see Peter being reconciled with Jesus. I really like the character of Peter. He's always one to jump in with both feet, quite literally in this story. He blurts out whatever he's thinking without any filters and then must live with the consequences. In this account, Peter is with some of the other disciples, and they're feeling confused and lost following the events of Easter. Yes, Jesus has stunned them by making a couple of post-resurrection appearances in the locked room in Jerusalem, but they haven't yet grasped exactly what that means for them. They don't quite know what to do next. So they return to Galilee as Jesus told them to, but they are now kicking their heels, waiting for his next instructions. As many of us do when we don't know what to do next, they went back to doing what they knew best. In their case, an overnight fishing trip in the boats belonging to the family business. Maybe they were out of practice, or maybe their hearts really weren't in it, but the result was that they caught nothing all night. As the sun rises, the figure of somebody on the shore shouts out to them, "Have you caught anything?" When the dejected answer is no, the figure shouts back, "Try casting your nets on the other side of the boat and you'll find some." It's then that John remembers something similar happening once before and realizes that the silhouette on the shore must be Jesus. When he tells Peter, "It's the Lord," Peter doesn't hesitate. He grabs his clothes, jumps into the lake, and swims straight for the shore. As he swims for the shore, he has a few moments to think, and memories of his threefold denial of Jesus come flooding back. He thinks to himself, "How could I possibly have denied even knowing him? I said I was prepared to die for him, and then at the first sign of trouble, all that bravado went straight out of the window. I know he told me that I would deny him, but he must still be so disappointed with me." It's therefore a very sullen and subdued Peter that then hangs back from meeting Jesus until the others arrive in the boat and he has helped them to unload the fish. When Jesus offers them a breakfast of bread and barbecued fish, they accept, but there is obviously some awkwardness hanging in the air because nobody seems to say anything until after they've finished eating. The offer of breakfast is partly Jesus' way of meeting the bodily needs of a hungry group of fishermen, but it's also his way of creating an atmosphere where awkward social bonds can be reforged in the fellowship of a shared meal. Once they've finished, Jesus turns to Peter and says, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" indicating the rest of the disciples gathered around the fire. Notice that Jesus calls him by his full name rather than by his nickname, Peter the Rock. Is it a touch of formality reflecting a still fragile relationship? Or is it recognition that Jesus knows that Peter no longer feels rock-like? Either way, Peter's response comes straight from the heart. Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. With that established, Jesus simply says, feed my lambs. An invitation for Peter to care for those who look to Jesus for guidance. Not once, but 3 times he asks the same question, and he gets the same answer. Does that perhaps echo Peter's 3-fold denial and give him a 3-fold chance to redeem himself? Perhaps, but it's also a way of emphasizing Jesus' complete acceptance of Peter for who he is and what he's done. It leaves no doubt in Peter's mind that Jesus trusts him fully with the task of caring for his flock, not only the small group of disciples gathered around that fire, but also the future care of those who would become the fledgling Christian church. There's a dark undertone to what Jesus says next, because he hints at the persecution and death that face Peter in the future. It's not about scaring him, it's the final act of restoration. Peter's support had previously evaporated at the first signs of trouble, but in confirming the dark nature of Peter's future, Jesus is acknowledging that he knows Peter's abandonment was a one-off event, never to be repeated. This time he really would follow him, even unto death. I think this biblical account is a beautiful portrayal of a very tender and intimate moment where Jesus takes what Peter assumes to be an irrevocably broken relationship and proves that it is fully reconciled, restored, and redeemed. It's a reminder that no matter how badly we feel we may have let down Jesus, no matter how ashamed and unworthy we may feel, Jesus is always ready to meet our needs and welcome us back into his fold. As disciples in God's church, we may not always get it right, but with Jesus there is no condemnation, no holding past actions against us. There is only the offer of a hearty welcome and full reconciliation. I don't know about you, but given my track record, I'm very glad of that. May God bless you. See you again next time. Bye.